sure we're all familiar with the situation in the United Kingdom right now with the mass censorship going on. If you weren't aware, in the United Kingdom, they're requiring age verification for you to access the internet in any serviceable way. Now, I don't know about you, but this is kind of eerily similar to 1984, George Orwell's. Now, if you weren't familiar with 1984, the government uses patriotism in some form of manner to justify their actions in mass censorship and mass tracking. And how they did this was, if you're not a patriot and you don't want us to track you and know what you're doing at all times to keep the society safe, well, you're not a patriot. You're not supporting your country. Now, I don't know about you, but patriotism has kind of seemed to die off as the generations have gone by, and for good reason too. I'm not saying that it's bad if you're not a patriot. I mean, the government has done people wrong so many times and times again at turning every corner. I wouldn't blame you if you show no patriotism to your country because of how bad they've done you. With that being said, the government's got to find something if there are not a lot of patriotic people left to justify their actions. And the one common ground that everybody has is kids. If you don't like kids, there's something wrong with you. If you don't want to see kids succeed, if you don't want to see kids have a good life, if you're not want to see kids to have the best life that they possibly can, you're probably a little sick in the head, I would have to say. So with that being said, what's the government doing? Oh, we're going to employ mass censorship. We're going to employ, require age verification for the kids. It's for the kids. We want the kids to be safe, so that's what we're going to do. You're going to provide age verification, and we're going to track you with this age verification because we want the kids to be safe and whatnot, right? If you provide age verification documents, if you provide an ID or you provide a birth certificate and you put it online, I think we're all familiar that once you put stuff online, it could be data mined, very easily transferred, basically easily bought and sold between companies. Very well-known stuff that pretty much every company on the World Wide Web does, and they will do with your information if you put it online. So let's think about this. If you pitch your government ID online, everybody and their mother is now going to have it, know who you are, know when you were born, know what ethnicity you are, how tall you are, how much you weigh. You see where I'm getting here? It's going to be just mass capitalism, the further advancement of capitalism, mass advertisements, tailored advertisements, basically the downfall of society as we know it. If everybody puts their age verification documents in here, the government's going to track you out the wazoo, know what you're doing, plans for the weekend, know what your plans are for next month, know when you're planning your yearly vacation. They'll know everything about you. Not like they already do, they'll just know more. With that being said, if you give them these identification processes, that's all that's going to happen, really. At the end of the day, they're just going to track you out the wazoo. So with this being said, so pretty much you have three pillars, and you have to either do one or the other. So let's look at the first pillar. The first pillar is a educated next generation. The next generation has to be educated, right? And the only way that you get the next generation educated is if you give them unlimited access to knowledge. And what is unlimited access to knowledge? What has infinite knowledge? The internet. And what are we taking away from the youth? The internet. Who would you know? So if you're making an uneducated next generation, well, your next generation is going to be worse than your last. And you don't want that. You always want to be progressing. So we have that column. The next column is uneducated masses. If you have uneducated masses, are easily controlled by political minds. So if you're taking away from the masses, that's not good either. And then, of course, you have the last part is tracking. So if you have the tracking, so if you don't want to be uneducated, if you don't want to have column 2, you're going to have to provide age verification, and you're going to have to track people. You see what the government's done here? It's kind of like setting up a win in a tic-tac-toe game. They've made it so where if you choose one, you get the other. If you choose one, you get the other. You see what I'm saying here? Like, if you want to be tracked, if you don't want to be tracked, then you're not going to have access to knowledge. If you want to have access to knowledge, then you're going to have to be tracked. And the kids lose no matter which way you look at it. So pretty much what the government has done here, is pretty much ingenious on their part. They gave this generation two choices. Both a lose-lose. You either lose access to infinite knowledge and you have to be tracked, or you choose to be tracked. It's a lose-lose situation, whichever one you choose, and they gave the kids a lose situation in general. You just get no access at all. So the government has completely screwed us, and they are winning. The government is winning. It's already too late. unless we do something now, the next generation is not going to know anything at all, because they were never they never had access to unlimited knowledge, and they never will. With that being said, I'm just making this video to put this stuff out here. Pretty simple stuff. I feel like if you think about it a little bit, you can see how the government is screwing us over, and how the government does not want you to win, and they're already setting you up for failure. As I said, it's kind of ingenious on their part. They're setting up this generation for a lose-lose, and they're setting up the kids. They've actually just clobber blasted the kids. They completely screwed them over. With this being said, I hope you gained something from this video, and really it's just going to take everybody, you know, to come together, just, you know, kind of like a revolution almost. That's what everybody says it is, you know, like, oh, the revolution. No, I'm not like a revolutionary. I'm just saying, you know, some stuff gets out of control at some point. With that being said, stay safe and stay hydrated.